Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
When the building was destroyed by fire last week, many families living in neighbouring blocks also had to evacuate their homes. 11-year-old Sarah El Said was amongst them. Sarah was living with her family on Grenfell Walk, right opposite the tower, when the fire broke out. And from the moment the family fled that night, they faced a very uncertain future. Here is Sarah's story.
I was one of the evacuees from the fire, so I lived right opposite the building. I woke up not knowing what was going on. I think, the police was banging on my door, and I was worried, so I just put my slippers on, put my hijab on, and just ran out, not forgetting about everything. So the whole walk, Grenfell Walk, are not allowed back in their homes. So there's 18 families being evacuated.
I know. Will you be all right?
A nice family offered us a home, to stay with them, and we're staying in the house right now. So it was really nice of them to let us stay.
I had this very strong sense of, oh my God, like so many people, what can I do? This is a tragedy and we're all involved. And I also felt somehow, I saw it immediately as kind of a political issue, we're also implicated. I thought the only thing I can do is I've got the keys to my mum's house, which is empty. So it's been really, really wonderful. We've done lots of sitting around and talking.
It feels like I found a friend, really. It feels like it, yeah. And it is really beautiful because we would have never met.
You can't see the state from here.
So it feels a bit different here?
Yeah, because it's good to get away from it, so then it doesn't bring back that much memories back. We, up until now, we're still not allowed back in our houses. We still don't know when. But I'm not that desperate, really, because other people have more problems to deal with. I knew these two.
Were they at your school? Or?
No, I just knew them from the block.
The people didn't know what was going on here. They just thought, oh, it's Royal Borough, Kensington, Chelsea. No, they didn't know there's 4 people living here too. But on that side, like Holland Park and that, there's always been rich. But this side here, it wasn't like that.
Do you know if they're going to knock down Grenfell Tower? Or is
yeah, it's going down. It's going down. They wanted to knock it down before the fire.
Grenfell Walk.
There's a plan. I don't know. There's a plan. There's a plan for this area. You see all these buildings like this? They want to knock them all down and bring... If you want to see the new houses they're trying to bring up, if you go to Goulburn Road...
So where are we going to live then?
Huh?
Where are we going to live?
They want to send us out to Barking, Hackney, all them, yeah.
You've been there before.
No, she said she would rehouse you here in Zamora.
People have to wake up. Someone is to blame for this. Someone is responsible for this. My friend was telling me he was here when they came out of the mosque. There was bodies on the floor, and then people were taking the bodies and putting them just there. Yeah, 9 bodies just over there. And he goes, and there was more people falling down. Just falling down.
It was true, because we were walking down here and then we saw it all here. Because we were walking down here when the fire happened and behind, and then we have to walk down here and we saw it. Because we weren't allowed in this area because there was tape all around here. My friend's missing, we don't know where she is. She might be up there burned or... What makes me angry is that people knew there was more than 6 people dead, but the news just said 6 people died, and they were already angry people because of the fire, and they're making them more angry. I don't get why they're evacuating the whole building. That was making sense. They do want to knock it down, I think. Now they want to evacuate everyone. Why?
She's going through a shock, and she's she's trying to find a way to channel. I think personally, obviously, the best way probably to protect her will be to remove her from the situation, including excess of news. I understand it's a coping mechanism. She's spending 48 hours listening to news and watching Twitter and feeds and stuff. It's really too much for someone.
I don't trust the news anymore. I mean, I want answers. All of us should say it. Everyone, the survivors up there, everyone should deserve the truth.
Well, joining me now is Dr. Gary Wannon, a consultant child and adolescent psychiatrist, and Louise Theodosio from the Royal College of Psychiatrists. Gary Wannon first. I know you've been working with some of the children involved in the Grenfell disaster. Obviously, every child reacts differently, but Sarah there asking a lot of questions. Is that quite a typical response from the kids you've been working with?
I think every child is very different, and I think it's very common for children to be asking questions. It's important that the adults that regularly care for and look after children, whether that be their parents' carers, whether that be teachers, it's important that everybody takes on the job of explaining things to children in a way that's calm and understood by them.
But how much do you want to... Because I mean, the instinct is to be as honest as you possibly can, but then you'd worry about frightening those children, wouldn't you? How much should you say?
Well, I think every parent's different and every child's different. Some families share a lot naturally, others less so. And I think it's really important that we work with what children already have. And I think as well that as parents, we often look for a lead from our children. Some children will want to talk more, some children will want more space.
So
some might want to draw about what they've done.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, we need to give some information, but also be led by our children.
Louise Theodosio, let me bring you in there. I mean, Sarah's mum talked about wanting to shield her from some of the horrors, which seems perfectly understandable to me.
Yeah.
Is that the best approach, or should you be as frank as you can be?
I think it's very important, as we've heard, to work with the individual child. There's very useful advice available from the Royal College of Psychiatrists, which says, yes, we should be open and honest with children, because what we know is that media and other people will be sharing this news and this information. But we need to make sure that that news is broken in a sensitive way. We need to make sure that distressing details, where possible, are spared, while at the same time being open and honest about the overall incident that has happened.
I mean, you talk about distressing details there. Sarah was quite matter-of-fact in a way about what had happened. How much can children take on in terms of the details?
I think the very good news is that children are resilient. And what we also know is that we live in a time when the media, for example, through mechanisms like Twitter, mean that people might be getting more information than parents think that they are. So I think while it is obvious that people will be getting details, I think what we need to do is we need to be taking a step back. We need to be saying, yes, what's happened is very distressing. We're not in any way underplaying what you've experienced, but at the same time, these events do not, generally speaking, happen very often, and trying to give children the opportunity to reflect on what's happened without reliving or replaying those events.
Gary Wannon, how lasting an impact do you think all this succession of tragedies will have on children caught up in the periphery, children watching from afar?
Well, I think the effect is very variable. We know that for many children and young people in trauma, 4 to 6 weeks after the incident, that often many of the more distressing symptoms have died down. And to follow up on what was said, children and young people are often more adaptable and more robust than adults. So I don't think we should underestimate their ability to move on. But I think as well, some tragedies we've seen, for example, there was the 50th anniversary of Aberfan, that some of the legacies of trauma, of tragedy, may last up to generations. So I think it's important that as well as thinking about the here and now, we also anticipate some of the future.
Louise Theodosio?
I think that's absolutely true. Children are very resilient. We need to make sure that children have the opportunity to speak to adults that they trust, parents, carers, education. And the good news is that there's a network of professionals working very closely together to make sure that where children do need to talk, there are people available for them. There's excellent helplines. There is support to be gained through GP, through school nurses, and networks of mental health services behind that that can support children that do remain distressed sometime after the incident has happened.
And I mean, a lot of parents might try and downplay in terms of the frequency of these awful tragedies, but when you've had so many terrorist attacks and now you've had the Grenfell fire, yes, that doesn't hold water much anymore, does it?
No. I think you're absolutely right, and I think, as we've been saying, the important thing is to be honest and to say, yes, there have been a run of very difficult events, but generally speaking, we live in a world where we do try to look after one another, and I think one of the things that we know is that after events have happened, people have rallied together, people have looked after one another, and people have offered support. There are very good mechanisms available to support people when these events happen, but yes, there has been a run of events.
Louise Theodosio and Gary Wannon, thank you very much for joining me.